VIENNA Calling, der Videopodcast von und mit Petra Bayr. Aktuelle Fragen der Zeit kurz und prägnant beantwortet.
Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to this session of Vienna Calling. Haiti is politically in free fall. The latest wave of gang violence in Haiti, which already controls 80% of the capital Port-au-Prince, is a major cause of concern. Criminals are overrunning the airport, ports, government buildings, and other important infrastructure. They are attacking prisons, and thousands of inmates have been freed. Formerly hostile gangs are aiming, among other things, to prevent foreign troops from intervening to mediate. And the absence of state structures is exacerbating the already dire humanitarian crisis, as access to water, food, and fuel is becoming increasingly difficult for Haitians. It is my great pleasure to welcome Melissa Verpile to talk. She's lawyer and international law expert at the NGO Parliamentarians for Global Action, and Melissa is a native Haitian based in New York. So, Melissa, thank you very much for joining this talk. Could you a little bit elaborate on the reasons of the actual situation and how is it to assess?
Thank you so much, Petra, for the invitation. Good afternoon, everyone. So I think the crisis in Haiti is really multifaceted, and we can touch upon different things, but I would like to say, I think at the outset, it's important to mention that Haiti is the second oldest republic in the Western Hemisphere, having gained its independence from France in 1804. So we're 220 years old, and you're wondering how it's possible that what we have to show for it is the current situation. I think that at some point in history, in 1825, there was for its independence to be recognized, France demanded the payment of 30 million francs. The consequences for that of that demand is that by conservative estimates, the country was deprived of $21 billion which could have helped in the past 2 centuries to invest in its development. You also had between 1957 and 1986 a brutal dictatorship of the Duvalier regime, characterized by arbitrary arrests, torture, enforced disappearances, political killings, illegal detentions, etc., by the Tonton Macoute, which was a national security volunteer force, which killed, tortured, arbitrarily imprisoned, forcibly disappeared people with impunity, of course. Then in 1990, you had what people call the first free and fair elections in the country. That happened in December 1990. Then there was a military coup in 1991, and this democratically elected president was overthrown. That was Bertrand Aristide. In 2001, he returned to power as president. And in 2004, there was another coup d'etat, and he ended up resigning and was flown out of the country by the US military and security personnel. All that little historical bout to say that, politics in Haiti have historically been unstable due to various coups d'etats, regime changes, military juntas, internal conflicts, etc. You also have repeated natural disasters throughout history. We've suffered cyclones, hurricanes, tropical storms, etc., with critical damage to infrastructure that was already extremely lacking. And as you may recall, in January 2010, there was an earthquake of catastrophic magnitude that claimed over 200,000 lives, displaced thousands of people, and inflicted severe damage to most public infrastructure. Jumping closer to us, there has been a systematic dismantling of Haiti's democracy by regimes that have enjoyed international support, although they were committed to dismantling state structures. So you had the former president Jovenel Moïse, who, allowed gangs to attack neighborhoods where opposition was strong to him, and he ended up assassinated in 2021. When that happened, the core group, led by the United States, it's a group of Western ambassadors and international representatives, they urged the current Prime Minister Ariel Henry to assume power, and he's widely viewed as illegitimate. And public authorities have, of course, largely colluded with gangs and their use of brutal methods for repeated massacres, widespread kidnapping of civilians, etc. Another root cause of what is happening today is the rampant corruption at all levels, coupled with a lack of real leadership. And the consequences of that is that the people in Haiti are bearing the brunt of so much physical and psychological trauma. The last elections in Haiti were in 2016, and the parliament has not held votes since 2019. So basically, we do not have any functioning institutions. There are no democratically elected public officials. I think the only standing institution now would be the National Police, that institution is doing the best it can with the meager resources it has. And widespread impunity has prevented the Haitian people from dealing with any sort of trauma they've undergone for over 200 years, I would say.
So to put it in a nutshell, a really dramatic amalgam of political failure, of natural disasters, of lacking development, of corruption, and traumatized people.
Absolutely.
That all made it possible that these forces now took over.
Yes.
What effects does that have on population now?
I mean, I think we've all seen the news reports. The population is really feeling helpless. A majority of them are poor, and they have nowhere to go. And a report to the Security Council in January of this year established that the number of reported homicides have doubled since last year. So we're about at 4,800. Kidnappings have soared also to almost 2,500 cases. As you know, sexual violence is really rampant. About 313,000 Haitians have fled their homes. So basically, in recent weeks, the crisis has really reached new heights, and the de facto, I would say, Prime Minister Ariel Henry, while out of the country, the gangs took advantage to extend their control of the capital, Port-au-Prince. And according to the United Nations, I think gangs have killed over 1,100 people and injured about 700 others. So the situation is very, very difficult.
Where did the people flee to?
Well, they just change neighborhoods. And they go wherever they can. And there are makeshift camps that are forming, where you can imagine a lot of sexual violence and gender-based violence happens there.
You mentioned sexual and gender-based violence, or sexualized violence, now for the second time, and we know from many other occasions that it's often used as real tactics, not just because somebody wants to have sex. Not at all. It doesn't have to do anything with sexual pleasure or whatever. It's a question of showing power or poisoning fabric, social fabric. How do you estimate this situation? Why is it used that widely?
Well, actually, there has been reports that has always been an occurrence in Haiti, and and now with gang control, the gangs have used rape, including collective rapes, as a form of sexual violence to instill fear, punish, inflict pain on local populations, with the ultimate goal really of expanding their area of influence throughout the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince. And so it's really used as a tool by these non-state actors who basically control territory, who have authority over large swaths of population, to keep them in line and inflict terror, and to make sure that they control the regions that they occupy. And really, those gangs are able to commit such acts of sexual violence and other human rights abuses, mainly because of widespread impunity and the ease also of access to weapons of high caliber that are trafficked and coming from abroad, which they are using to also terrorize the population. And there are a number of reports explaining how women and girls are disproportionately affected by sexual and gender-based violence.
Yeah, useless to say that they can't find protection anywhere.
That absolutely they cannot, and the state really is. I mean, what would be important is to ensure immediate access to adequate medical and psychosocial care to further prevent any physical or psychological harm. But the efforts of national and international actors working in this field really to guarantee the rights of survivors, or should I say victims from a legal perspective, have been insufficient due to so many barriers, so many challenges. The basic health needs of the population are not met. And so needless to say that
a tremendous
specialized
situation.
care is not there.
Yes, tremendous situation for really everybody. Let's go to the region where the CARICOM is a Caribbean regional bloc, and I know that they try to mediate between the Haitian politicians to bring about a turnaround of the turmoils in the years that were gone. Is there still any presence of international organizations?
Well, right now the CARICOM, so the Caribbean community, and the United States have really been leading the efforts in trying to mediate a solution. So far, the only tangible result has been that the current de facto prime minister has agreed to resign as soon as a transitional council is formed and an interim prime minister chosen. But there are different names that have been sent to the CARICOM to try to determine how they could form this transitional council, and many questions remain really on that. Which segments of the Haitian population will really be represented on it, and how a potential Kenyan-led international policing mission might go forward when there are so many issues with that already. I mean, the Security Council authorized such deployment, but in Kenya, the Kenyan High Court said that it wouldn't agree to it. There is a shortfall on the different pledges made by the United States that are tied up in Congress. Some additional countries have pledged funds, but so far there are a number of uncertainties. There's a number of uncertainty, and it's quite difficult to see a way out.
And are there elections realistic in this situation, or how else should those transitional government be appointed?
I think that one key element is that there has always been a lot of meddling from the outside, exogenous meddling in Haitian affairs. Understandably so to a certain extent, but I think right now it's an opportunity for Haitians themselves, led by other Haitians, to really come to a solution. And elections to have, for the circumstances to be realigned, aligned for elections to take place. I don't foresee it happening. I don't foresee elections happening anytime soon. And I would say the earliest would be 2025, if not 2026.
Mm-hmm. But could that be a way out of the current crisis?
I think at some point, I mean, there will have to be a transitional period, and that a transitional council seems to be an interesting solution to that. And then they would organize elections to kind of restore the constitutional order, which is really right now not in effect. And so that could be a way out, but elections for sure need to happen.
Melissa, thank you very, very much for these insights. And I think that we are with the Haitian people. I'm afraid that we will hear really bad news the next time, and we really should join forces to bring back democracy, rule of law, and good governance to this people who really deserve it. Thanks a lot, Melissa. All the best to New
Thank you
York.
so much, Petra, for the invitation.
Of course. See you.
Vienna Calling, der Videopodcast von und mit Petra Bayr. Aktuelle Fragen der Zeit kurz und prägnant beantwortet.